Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Respectable to all school managers, teachers, and staff, and also the participant on the virtual space. Yeah, it is really grateful, and I feel blessed this morning to have this kind of opportunity and chance to lead to this discussion. Special honor, we address to our special guest this morning, the speaker of the international mini workshop. We can call it like international mini workshop, Professor Iro Ropo and Golaleh Makroni, who will enlighten us concerning climate change education and climate change curriculum, which will be the main discussion or the main topic that we are going to elaborate this morning. And before moving on or before starting our discussion, I would like to introduce you a bit the profile, a brief profile of Professor Iro Ropo and Golaleh Makroni. Professor Iro is a professor of education and specializing in teacher education and also learning research. And recently, his recent research interest focused on curriculum research and then narrativity in learning and also identity construction. While Golaleh, she is an Iranian. Previously, I thought she is a Finns basically, but she is Iranian, and she did her BA program in civil engineering and was a vocational school teacher for 14 years. Yeah, 14 years. Becoming like the vocational school teacher in Iran. Yeah, for 14 years. And then she got her MA program in the field of history and philosophy of education, right? And now she is a PhD student of Tampere University, and hopefully will be officially becoming a doctor by this upcoming November. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, and all the participants on the virtual space on Zoom meeting. As we know that climate change is one of the biggest threats of our generation, one of the biggest threat of our time. And climate change magnifies the inequalities, and it requires the solution from the leaders of the world, basically. And education has basically hugely play an important role, yeah, in driving the transition to a sustainable future, right? And curriculum itself can be seen as a tool or a device which can connect the theoretical foundation to the concrete action in tackling this climate change. Therefore, to have the further explanation about this kind of conception, I would like to invite Professor Iro as the first presenter this morning. So you have around 30 minutes. Is it enough? Yeah. And then will be continued by Golaleh for the second chance later on. And in the end, we have question and answer session. So everyone, you may address the question later on when we can discuss. You may raise in Bahasa or in English. Okay. And the time and the floor is your professor. Okay. Should I translate it? Should I rephrase it? Or just fully in English? What do you think? Should I rephrase it? No, right? Okay, so this is like full international seminar. Yeah. Okay, so then my job is lighter. Yeah, so no need to rephrase it. Okay, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, this is working. You can put my slide there. Like Martunis Martti in Finnish said, this climate change is, I think, one of the biggest challenges of our generation and maybe future generation also. It is one part of sustainable development, but we as educational practitioners, researchers, academics, we have to think about the future in terms of how do we ensure that education will do its best work in preventing climate change and enhancing sustainable development in the world. And that's why I'm figuring out that concerning this issue of climate change, we have 3 levels or 3 perspectives that we have to take into account. One is practical level. I'm coming from bottom to up. Practical level. How do teachers deal with climate and environmental issues in their everyday teaching with children who are living in their life, very narrow life context, who want to know what is going on in the world and who they are themselves? How do we deal with them? How do we discuss and be in discourses with them? That's practical level that teachers are dealing every day. Then we have system level. How is the curriculum system designed? What are the concepts used, like this competence-based education is one of the hot topics, of course, at the moment. Earlier, we had very much knowledge-based, that we are teaching knowledge, and students have to learn that knowledge and memorize that in the test. Competence-based, maybe the idea is that, okay, we are producing workers to the labor market who are skilled enough to survive in the labor market. But then we have this big things going on in the world. I cannot imagine that we have competencies to prevent climate change. That we do it only with competencies, with this concept of competence. That okay, I'm fighting against climate change with some competencies. We have to have a big picture in our mind, and so I'm figuring out that climate change is a narrative. It is a scientific narrative. Some people believe in that scientific narrative, but we have had big leaders in the world who are said that it's nonsense, fake news, like coming from USA, fake news. Weather will be colder next week, so climate change is cancelled. So from that perspective, this narrative is something else, and people can create these narratives that are fake from the scientific point of view. So from systemic perspective, we have to deal with things. What concepts are we using when we are talking about curriculum? Are we happy with competencies, or do we need to adopt something else so that the system goes well from the top level to down level? One of the things which I've been criticizing earlier and still criticizing are these standardized tests, which are measuring simple competencies, simple knowledge, and complex thinking, narratives are really difficult to examine with that kind of methods. And our purpose is to enhance understanding of the world and provide children and young people with not only competencies but ideas, what is going on and what is going to happen. And that's why I think we need to have system level develops so that it from the ideas to the classroom level measurement, we will enhance productively learning of these. And then from academic point of view, third point is that we as researchers, we have to be ahead of the system and practical level. We have to be ahead and develop concepts being critical to the current models if necessary, and in a way innovate new things that work better and that make education better for the future. So I have some ideas, and we can talk the whole day, but let's introduce the ideas, and then we as a community we will develop this together. And I see that SUGMA is now ahead of this thing. We have been at UPI last week. I don't believe we can work in practical level and system level as well in the university context, university cooperation, as we can do it with you, because you have the context, the practical context here, and innovations and innovators in your staff. So we trust on you in this project. Okay. You can recognize maybe this campus from Tampere. And then next slide. Foundations for all curricula. Now I'm thinking about this from academic point of view and also from system point of view. If we are developing curricula, and somehow it is easy to develop a curricula if we just think about that it is a written text, but it is not only written text. The underlying ideas, underlying histories, contexts, societal situation, politics, they are all there, and what comes out as a written curriculum is a compromise, of course, of the parties and stakeholders who are involved in this process. Okay, the next one. My point is very much in the learning point of view. How do we guarantee that we have a curriculum that enhances student learning, young people's independent learning and meaning making? We have basically this traditional transmission model, that knowledge is to be acquired, that students acquire the knowledge that teachers present. So there's a causal idea that learning is a causal relation. What I'm saying is taken by the students, and of course we have to cancel this model. It is in some cases, of course, it is necessary and good that people acquire. I acquire ideas from you, you acquire from me, but it's not only acquisition. In a society which is not changing at all, I think this works well. Farmers, okay, traditional professions are done in the same way. So let's adopt your knowledge and your skill. I follow you. But in a changing societies and in the changing globe, I think something else is needed. Okay, the next one. Then there's this transformation model. Teachers are facilitators of change. That I have knowledge that I'm giving to students, but there's no causal relationship what I say to what children learn and young people learn. And especially this is in the meaning level. If something is important to me, like I'm saying that climate change is really important thing for me at the moment, and these are the facts about climate change, then a student there may sit that, yes, but I don't care. I can learn what you said, but I don't care. The meaning is totally different. And how do we transmit meanings? I think that's impossible. We cannot really transmit meanings. They have to create their own meanings, and hopefully they create meanings that are meaningful for learning the phenomena. So learning is very much this meaning-making process, and it's not only individual. I think it's meanings are shared, and in discursive processes we create meanings together by reflecting each other's, by offering some meanings, some interpretations, and then somebody's correcting me, no, this is not right what you are saying. So it's like a scientific process that we have a continuous discourse going on. And that is what teachers should facilitate, this kind of processing. But then, of course, there can be situations in which meanings are totally different that we aim at. And my question in system level is that, can we really have a curriculum in which all the meanings that we mean to create are present? Not on all issues, as we can see that there are, for instance, political parties that disagree very much about common issues. It is something in different level than only knowledge, beliefs, which are part of narratives, but not the traditional concept of knowledge that we have been dealing at the school. So learning process, I think we have been using this for maybe 7 years. You have seen that already. Learning process is something related to this narrative process in which phenomena are interpreted, reflected, meanings are created, and then we collect automatically, intuitively, without any effort. We collect those into narratives, which also our background, our own history, our own conception of myself is also taken into account. So meanings are really something that are complicated and unpredictable. And what we get out of this mess of meanings, let's say that, like, we have a lot of meanings. We have to clarify our perception of ourselves and world and facts and things. So we always simplify and try to understand, even if we don't understand. We have metaphors, simple models, mental models, all kind of things which we can use to simplify things. So learning is like this. So I very often say that meanings are not acquired. They are personally constructed and reconstructed. And this construction and reconstruction is very important thing in education. I don't deny learning of facts as they are, We have to learn mathematics, we have to learn physics, language in a traditional way also. But when we are trying to figure who we are and what's going on in the world, then it's important that we involve people into this more complex processing of things, and understand that it's not only simple acquisition of facts that we are dealing with in school. Okay, basic assumptions about curriculum implementation. My idea in this, and you can understand me by reading the first point. We acknowledge narrativity as a basic ontological and epistemological premise. My starting point is that when we are thinking about existence, this ontology and epistemology, the acquisition of knowledge, then narrativity is really crucial thing. We don't know what is going on in the world without narrative. Well, we have religions. What are they? They are narratives. We cannot prove them as true, but we can easily believe them as true. They are so-called grand narratives. And in the curricula, for instance, Finnish curriculum is very much based on this Bildung theory, German Bildung theory from 1830 by Humboldt. And in that, the basic assumption is that comes from Bible, that human beings are images of God, that God created us as image of himself or herself, whatever. And it's a duty of in education to grow into knowing this fact. So it's hidden nowadays. It's many ways hidden, and in the text it's not said as it is, but the idea is there. And in Indonesian curriculum, this Pancasila is one of the grand narratives. At least I have interpreted it as it is. So there are these basic assumptions in the curricula, and then human knowledge is that way narrative. And when we are learning about things, about phenomena, we are also at the same time learning about ourselves, kind of creating a narrative of ourselves. Okay, continue. Let's continue. So climate change, I think we can think about that as a scientific narrative from academic point of view. But of course, we could add that it's also political narrative, social narrative, environmental narrative, whatever perspective we take. But anyway, we are dealing with, if we accept this idea that it is narrative, we are dealing with a process in which we have to start from pre-narrative stage with students. They don't have a narrative of climate change. We have to teach them what it is. So we have to have facts from different subject areas. Every subject can deal it with different ways. And then little by little, by processing, by reflecting, by learning more, then they create this narrative, what it is. If somebody asks me, what is climate change? I really am in trouble of saying, do I really understand this? We had a meeting with the university professors, and there was a physics professor and chemistry professor, and I asked, how do you understand climate change? And don't ask me. It is such a big thing, and we are little by little creating knowledge what is going on by measuring things happening. Okay, temperatures are growing, ice is melting, water is rising, water level in the oceans, storms, hurricanes, and all kind of floods, droughts coming, and what is the causal relationship with this and that is still unknown. But my idea, which I want you to think about, if this is correct or not, my idea is that in this project, could we think about climate change as a grand narrative, which have to be understood at some level, but it's really impossible to understand fully even for us. But then students and we, as human beings, we understand things in a local context. What is going on in my life context? And what are the local narratives that we have about living in peace with nature around here? How do you deal with the trash? How do we deal with pollution? How do we deal with the climate by driving or by flying or by using fossil energy? What happens here in the nature? Can we prevent something, or have we learned historically a way to live so that we preserve the nature for the next generations? I think that is the level to be included into school curriculum, and then so I think we are trying to collect local narratives. How do you? What have you learned in this region about living in peace with climate? So the idea is that this big narrative is something quite general and abstract, and the point is not to have an examination in school about these big ideas, maybe some, but the idea is to learn to live in peace with the nature and preserve the nature for the future generations. Okay. Yeah. So what else can I say? Maybe, okay, go ahead. What is okay, this is maybe a slide concerning academic perspective. What is the curriculum development model for the 21st century? How do we develop curriculum and in system level? I think what I have learned in the past 30 years about curriculum theorizing is somehow summarized in this last two things. Curriculum as currere, it's a continuous process. It is alive in the sense that in the school context we are We have a document called curriculum, but we have to develop it in practice so that it becomes alive, that is something honest and real and challenging discourse between teacher and students. And to that currere belongs also these narratives that are not perfect, that are open, that are in the pre-narrative level, in the sense that we don't understand things. So teaching and curriculum development as complex conversation, I think that is how we can maybe describe this process. It is continuous, it is complex, it's always open at some level. We have to be critical, we have to be able to change, we have to be able to admit that it's not working, we have to revise. Such things, I think, are very important when we are talking about curriculum. Okay, what is the next? Yeah, go skip that. Yeah, you can go skip that also. Okay, let's go to this final one. I have changed a little bit these slides, so for tomorrow I will give the 1.1 version. Conclusion. I think whatever the curriculum is, it is somehow important that it enhances those 3 points at the end of this slide. Existential processing. Who am I? Who are we? What is the globe and world? Epistemological processing. How and what kind of learning and knowledge and what kind of positionings we are about to teach our children. I added into this epistemological processing also this concept of positioning, meaning that it's not a role. Position is not a role, but it is very close to the concept of being in a role. Concerning climate change, I think Finnish young people are #1 in the world being concerned and nervous about climate change. There was a comparative study last week. I read it. It was comparing young people from 40 different countries about how concerned they are about climate change, and Finnish young people were #1. They don't want to have children to this world because climate will change. They don't want to get married. They don't want to, all kind of things, which is reaching the level that there's no future anymore. There's no hope anymore, and being concerned at that level is not healthy. So that's why I think we have to try to position them into a role that I need to act, but I cannot change the climate or reverse the change in the whole climate. I can do something in my life context, in this area. So that's why I think one of the things we have to consider is this positioning. How do we position in our teaching students concerning these big ideas? And then there's this ontological processing. And maybe thinking about ethics. I think it's ethical responsibility of teachers to to be honest about the things that are happening, and from the perspective that they interpret this phenomena. Even if it's not mentioned in the curriculum, as a community, I think we have to be responsible and ethical. But then our schools and teachers autonomous enough to make changes into instruction, so that that we will deliver the best for our students. Okay, that's my introduction to this topic.
Okay, thank you, Professor Eru. Yeah, I think before moving on to Golale, I need one or two comment or question probably regarding what just discussed by Professor Eru. It was very interesting discussion because according to the presentation of Professor Eru, learning is a making meaning a process. And yeah, as a teacher, we should be like the facilitator of the change, or probably like the director of the change. And it is very interesting also. I mean, the keywords that climate change is a scientific narrative, and human knowledge is also narrative, right? So as a teacher, I think how we should create a meaningful learning processes, so the students can also create the meaningful learning from themselves concerning this climate change issue. For example, this they quite often see now the volcano erupted, the storm, a flood, and some other natural disaster happen. But mostly we don't take into account those kind of things happen has a relation with our life, basically, has relation with the student's life, basically. So how we create a meaningful learning processes as a teacher in the classroom to make a meaningful meaningful learning processes for the student about this climate change issue. So probably if you have a question or comment you want to address, yeah, please, before moving on to Golale presentation about what just discussed by Professor Eru. Yeah, because there are three conceptions that mentioned by Prof. Eru. It is about narrativity, and then identity, and also repositioning. Yeah, repositioning. So basically our life is full of narrative stories. And from those narrative stories, we shape our own identity. And from that identity, how we reposition ourselves to take the role in tackling this climate change issue. So the time is yours, the floor is yours for one or two comment or questions. Please. Silakan. Yeah, please, Abi.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity. From Ero's explanation, it's like Ero proposed this kind of curriculum, I mean climate change education. So what I wanna ask is on the practical level, so it's quite challenging. So what should we do, or what can we overcome a challenge that we propose or we teach about climate change education to the people or to the student whom never in that kind of situation? I mean, like Finland's people feel, for example. Moreover, for some people, especially in Indonesia, they believe that whatever happened in this world is what? Allah's creation, I mean. So what should we do? What can we overcome to propose, to teach about climate change education to the people whom never in that kind of situation? Thank you.
Yeah, this is one of the crucial questions. I think we have to think about ourselves together. By being here 1 week and looking around, I think there are a lot of climate issues that we could pick up and discuss. But things develop in different speed in different parts of the world. Let's say that way. Finns are eager to change everything, and if you have been visiting Finland and then making comparisons even in your images of the environment, you realize that conditions are different, and it's not me who will come here to say you what to do. No way. I don't want to do that at any point. Maybe from the curriculum theory point of view, of course, I can say that are the competencies enough to preserve the nature? How do we have to develop the society? It's up to you. It's about politics, of course, and resources available. But I think people here living here also see symptoms of things happening in the climate, and then that's the time for you to discuss those symptoms and how to deal with those things. You are the lungs of the globe, of the world. You are creating the oxygen. I think there are issues that you can raise from that what is happening here in the climate level and environmental, and of course the resources have to be considered. What can we change? We cannot change everything in just by clicking our fingers. Little by little, direction is the important thing.
Okay, thank you, Professor Eero. And also, I just want to comment a bit. Maybe most of the people will put a good concern on climate change issue whenever the negative impact of climate change affected their life, affected their families at least. But whenever it is not affected their life and the families, their relative or their community, most of the people will think nothing to deal with me and nothing to do with, right? So the question is, should then like the negative impact of climate change hit everyone? So then everyone will put a concern on this, right? So that's also like a big question actually. Okay, well, maybe another one comment or question. Yeah, Kak Azah, please.
Okay, I just want to comment a little bit because, like Marty said, people will concern about climate change if they already get the disaster. But I think it's not really impact also because in my area, I live near from the river. And now people in this area, they really hard to get water. It's like a crisis of water. But they still not really concerned about climate change. When like I said, we should stop to put rubbish everywhere, don't cut the tree on the forest, but they just think because it just musim kemarau, a dry season. Maybe later we will have enough water, yeah, in rainy season. But actually, this is already a rainy season. But they should like because they cannot have good water from the well, but so they get the good water when the raining. They collect it, but still they don't really care about the climate change. So maybe it for people who knows the climate change, how to give like how to teach people actually the not the children but the society. Yeah, it's really hard.
Great point here. I think what we have to do at school level is that we have this grand narrative of climate change, and then we have local phenomena. I think we have to figure out what's the causal relations and the causal chain of relations from that local phenomena, from those local phenomena to the climate change issue in general. And that is the hard point, but that is something that science and research can solve already, I think.
Okay, thank you, Professor, for the comment and the response. So now let's move on to Golaleh presentation. Yeah, the time and the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello everyone again. I'm very happy and honored to be here and also in Indonesia first and in Banda Aceh and then in Biren, yeah? And also in your school and visiting you. I have visited some of you in Tampere, but my memory not helping me at this moment to remember all of you, but I'm very happy to be here. So thanks for Professor Eero for the presentation and introduction. I have prepared some slides, mostly focus on the like practical parts, and also include some examples that related to natural resources. The examples are from the area mostly in Middle East, but it can provide some ideas, and then hopefully we have time to reflect and discuss it. If you please show this one. So it's in continuous of the presentation of Professor Eero and your comments also about these local resources and also local narratives and knowledge. I prepared these slides. So the title is Promoting Local Interpretation and Solution for Environmental Sustainability. So in these slides, not exactly I pointed out the climate change, but environmental sustainability in a like as a big, let's see, grand narratives, as Eero said. So please. And about the environmental sustainability is the responsibility to conserve and protect the natural resources and the global ecosystem to support health and well-being now and also in the future. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency defined environmental sustainability as meeting today's needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs as well. So it's about the time of now and future, and how they're using the sources, natural resources, in a way that make the future generation also be able to manage their life. And environmental sustainability is concerned with some issues as long-term health of ecosystems and protecting the long-term productivity and health of the resource to meet the future needs, like future economic and social needs. And also intergenerational decision making. It means that what they are in the policy level making the decision, it should also consider and work for the future generation. Renewable resources, so not rely on non-renewable resources, and prevent the consequences of man-made global warming, as well as protection of species diversity and ecological structures, as well as treating environmental resources as if they have intrinsic rights and value. So not just, for example, protecting the forest because of the economical and financial issue, but to the right values that these resources have. And here I jumped to the examples that I talked about that they are historical, actually, and ancient systems. We can say that sustainable system or green system. This example is about ventilation, natural ventilation that has been used 3,000 years ago. I mean, the history of this system, which is still in some area is working in Iran. The most famous city for this system that it's wind catchers, but the Persian name is Badgir. And wind catchers, they have a long history, like 2,500 or 3,000 years ago. As we know, in recent years, the attention's drawn to saving the energy and green energy, like, for example, using the wind energy. And according to research, the amount of CO2 or carbon dioxide from 1995 to 2080 became 3 times. An important factor that also influenced the air pollution is the use of fossil fuel. Natural ventilation reduces this fossil fuel. Past generations found the solution and strategy to be compatible with nature. In the very hot or semi-hot or dry lands area or regions, the elements like wind catcher or this badgirha, and also in the structure of the house like courtyards and domes have been used to attain a more comfortable and cozy condition according to the hot area that they experienced. So natural ventilation and cooling have played a fundamental and essential role in providing comfortable conditions for the people. This is also another pictures of this wind catcher. The top, it's the old, like the old structure, and the second and third that have been used in a modern way. For example, the last one, it's the picture of wind catchers in Doha, in Qatar, that they use it, and also in European countries. There are, if you search it in Google, so there still also they try to combine this idea from this ancient system to the modern way, in a modern way. So wind catcher is a cooling systems and used to create a natural ventilation in building to survive the hot summer days. And they can reduce the temperature and provide also fresh air for the people who are living in that area, and also reduction the amount of carbon dioxide or CO2 concentration inside the building. The efficiency of wind catchers, it's different because according to different shapes that they have it, different height, they have it also, and different section that they have it. So it is also very like to somehow specific according to the direction of the wind and the area that they wanted to build these wind catchers. If the area has the most strongest wind directions, they decided to build this wind catcher to capture that strong wind. But if the area has winds from different directions, so the shape of the wind catchers, it's like 4 dimensions or 2 dimensions according, because the shape should be according to the geographical and the direction of the wind of that area. So they consider it actually in the past. But this old tradition, as I said and put these 2 pictures here, can be merged with new building design to raise the green concepts in the building sector and architecture actually. And this wind catcher, it is like the technical drawing section drawing of the wind catchers that they used it like separately, but in an optimal level with the combination of qanat. Qanat, these horizontal tunnels, actually, that these tunnels have been built in behind, like under the buildings. And then with the combination of wind catchers, they could create a very sustainable and efficient cooling system. So the right one shows the 2-side wind catcher, but the left side is just 1-side wind catcher. So when the wind comes, and this wind catcher catches this wind and go through the inside the hose, and also the fresh air and cool air from the qanat, from the water, help come up and help to the cooling system of the hose. And then the hot air can go from the other side. But about qanat, also is another ancient water management system that also has been used for 1,000 years ago. And it's a sustainable, actually, water management system that used to provide a reliable supply of water to human settlement, or also for drinking and irrigations. Qanats are underground tunnels and horizontal tunnel system that bring infiltrated ground and spring water to the earth's surface, and has been used actually to transfer this snow melt water from the mountains. And the history comes back to 3,000 years ago in Middle East country, and particularly also in Iran, but later on in Egypt, Korea, and also Latin America and other Italy. If you search it in Google, you will find it. I have one animation. I don't know if how much we have time, but maybe we can see it partial. This is this link. If you can show it, it's about the Kanat. Yes, it is this link. So maybe by watching this video, also you can find the link with the your context and also the presentation of Professor Ero. If you make it bigger.
The Lord of Eternity bestowed water, this magic elixir of life, upon man from very beginning. Heavy downpours revitalized the soil, while scarcity of precipitation deprived some quarters of running waters, vanishing trees, and the greens due to droughts. This endangered the existence of all the living creatures. Water was the seed of fertility. Dwellers of arid and semi-arid zones have constantly suffered the tribulation of water supply since bygone eras. The diligent residents of the Kavir, in other words, deserts of salt, are thoroughly aware of the vital role of water, for they have had to make every endeavor in order to get access to underground water resources. Historical records indicate that the Persians innovated a know-how called kanat or kariz to seek the remedy some 2,000 or 3,000 years ago. To construct a kanat, experienced practitioners should identify appropriate sites as well as the rich aquifers before they manage to dig. A kanat includes a number of vertical shafts interconnected at the bottom in the gallery with a gentle slope stretched to the appearance. Gravitational flow of water as well as prevention from evaporation and contamination are the main features of a kanat. Choosing the kanat construction area is the most significant aspect of the procedure. Skillful traditional practitioners benefiting from a rich knowledge with regard to some indications in the surroundings manage to start the task from where they consider the aquifer being closer to the surface. The first test well is then dug. The rate and the quality of the water are assessed as the main criteria. Lack of salinity or bitterness is the promising clue. Well diggers discharge water out of the borehole and calculate the recharge intervals in order to gauge the potential water discharge. Digging the gallery is one of the most difficult parts of canal construction. Since any errors may disturb the navigation process, which causes excess labor. Hanging a constant light at the entrance of the gallery is the navigation sign. Practitioners should pay heed to the loss or dimness of light in order to assess the deviation rate along the wet zone.
And
Hardship of the task has necessitated the teamwork. The well digger, who is the most experienced member, is in charge of digging and monitoring all the activities. A nimble teenager nicknamed Lashe Cash pulls the buckets of the derby from the digging spot to the shaft from which it is extracted. A sturdy young man is in charge of the wheel to pull up the bucket as well as transference of the team members into and out of the gallery. The outcome of these fruitful endeavors is the completion of the gallery. The dreams of the practitioners come true. Water flows along the canal to reach the surface after the termination of the dry zone. To work through the wet zone, they always initiate from downstream, which causes the ceiling and the wall seepage of the wet zone to move towards the surface, leaving no damage.
Maybe you stop the video, and because the most part is done, it's a long video. But if you are interested, then you can watch the whole video. So it is what I mean by video, to show also this local knowledge, and also how the people in the past struggling with the necessity needs like accessing to water, and how they try to find a way in harmony with the nature. So they get the water from the nature and give it back to the nature. So instead of fighting, or maybe the possibility to move was difficult, so they try to talk to the nature and to adapt to the nature and to be in harmony with the nature. And also they realize the value of that natural resources, and still, even though they didn't access easily to water, but respect to the water that still they have access with these hard efforts. And this is for example, another aspect, this video that made, it's like kind of, maybe I liked it because then the technology of these videos and animation also can help us to bring this knowledge and bring these narratives to our education and to our schools at the present time. So it doesn't get forget by the new generation. If you just 2 slides more, if you go, yeah. I think from the video you already got the like also idea for this canal, that they have a social and economical benefits actually. Because they not just provide the water, but also provide the benefits for the community, and insist in terms of unity and peace also, because the whole members of the community feel responsibility and to these natural resources and value with that. Also, there are now, even though that many of them have been demolished, but still there are international companies and also national companies try to rehabilitate them. For example, this one of them, this International Organization for Migration, has some projects in these countries. If you go to another, and this is also one picture that shows that how when they access to this water and came to the surface, how they use it for different purpose. So actually it's a very environmentally friendly system. They first store it in the water storage, and then they divide it to different sections, goes to drinking, which is most important. And then hammam, maybe you know about that. It's like that people went there to washing and cleaning their bodies. And also go to meals. go to washings, and also at the end or go to the back to the nature, as well as for irrigations and also to animals. So this water has been used in different sections without with less wasting. Maybe it's difficult to say zero, but yeah. You can go. No, go further. Yeah, this one. Maybe instead of talking, if this is a very short video, like few minutes, if you show this video instead of talking, maybe you have then your reflection on that.
There are a lot of canots in Iran, and it is estimated that the length of these canots is the same as the distance between the Earth and the Moon. It takes its name from the Semitic word meaning to dig. These structures are horizontal tunnels with a gentle slope that partly cuts through the aquifer and drains underground water from saturated layers, then flows on the ground, transfers to different areas near and far to irrigate farmlands and pastures. Mr. Nabipur, with 102 years old, is considered as the oldest and the most experienced Mirab, a person who is in charge of the water distribution system. To residents, he is also the oldest teacher who has dedicated his life to preserve canots and to train people throughout his life.
این قنات مایه زندگی ما با جد و نسل ما بوده وظیفه اینه که تا نفس آخر حمایت کنم از قنات بمیری این قنات ها اینجور که مریض هستن اینا ما میره آخرش با فاصله چند سال دیگه از وقت قنات ها توجه نکنم اینا که بمیری ما پشت سر اینا مرم.
He is still concerned about maintaining this cultural grand heritage and transferring it to the next generation. Living in the desert and knowing the harshness there, he is completely aware of the importance and value of this cultural grand heritage as a system that is getting life from nature and giving it back in harmony with nature.
قنات مایه زندگی مانی هستن هستی مایه قناتوی
Okay, thank you. So with this video, I wanted to emphasize on the values that these natural resources had for the community and the people, and the link that they made it with that, and also the importance of like to keeping it and educating the new generation, which I put also some bullet points here, but it's that. Thank you for listening, and I will be happy if you also reflect in your context and yeah, discussions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's give. Okay, thank you, Golale and Professor Ero, for a very fruitful discussion and interesting explanation. Okay, well, just now we just heard that regarding some traditional or ancient technology created by the ancient people to preserve the sustainability life of the nature, basically, such as natural ventilation, wind catcher, coconut, and so on, probably. And now, probably we could reflect from our perspective or from our local context. Do we have that kind of technology, the local technology that we have, which compatible with the nature, right? Because, yeah, actually, a question also come to my mind. In the ancient era, when there wasn't like a well-structured or well-organized curriculum at that time, but the people had the initiative to create such a great technology, which are very friendly with the nature. But now, in the modern time, with all the the devices or the sophisticated technology that we have now, with well-organized curriculum that also we have within our educational system, could we reflect or we share this kind of information or reflection, then our student will create a kind of technology in the future which also compatible with the nature. So then we still have time, about 15 minutes to go, before ending the discussion. So it is the time to share maybe some information or to share some comments regarding the discussion. And also the participant on the virtual space, I saw Bu Satya just now, or some other friends or other people from Yayasan who are attending this session this afternoon as well, could give some impression or also the comment or the question. Okay, time or the floor is yours. Okay, Bu Chan, time is yours.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity, Martunis. Actually, the movie about the Kanat that we already watched it during our class, and this is really inspiring me. When I have a class and a student in my school, one of them come from Gempang. Gempang is a village close to our district, and that village around the mountain. And she told me that in their village, they don't have any problem with the water because a lot of spring water, mata air, spring water, natural spring water around the village. And the villagers flow the water to the house for all of the village. Bamboo, canal that they dig the canal, and lately they using the pipe from the plastic right now. Because more modern. And me and some of my friends and students also, we are doing a documentary movie actually to capture the phenomena, the real life of the people from Gempang. And your movie lecture really inspiring me to do that. Actually, it's not finished yet. We just start maybe like a month, and we going to research also and to stay over there. And I think all of the place in Indonesia, we have indigenous knowledge and indigenous people in protecting our environment. but this is the story about my another class also. Actually, I went with my student went to around our school to observe the water system in our around our schools, and I asked my student to identify just anything they found about the problem with the water, and maybe the causes and the causes of the climate change and the impact of the climate change also to the water system around our school. Actually, I found they understand the impact and the impact and the impact and the causes of the climate change. I think they understand because they can identify exactly like the dirty water from our canteen. They said it's supposed to be doing something before throw it to the environment, and then the plastic around. But the biggest problem that I found, the consideration, they almost believe this is not their responsibility. Somebody responsibility, like government. Why government don't provide the system of the garbage and the water trust? Yeah, I think narrative curriculum will be very effective, maybe, right? That will change their behavior. And I think this is from it.
Harry? Any other? Any other comment or question, probably? Oh, Prof. Rashid. Okay, please.
Okay, so maybe I will share some short idea, but this little bit controversy, but I think to consider this too. I want to start with the massive amount of human being triggers unbalanced life. So that's what trigger climate change, I guess, right? Industrialization, mass production of goods and properties, you know, and then also when we have a lot of people, we exploit nature greedily. It's not even enough. 10 years, 20 years. We don't need that, but we keep doing that. I don't know why. Right. And then less educated people also. So the credit goes to them. I don't know. Maybe all human beings. And then if we want to narrow it, then less educated people. The other creature is not even, how to say it? They don't even get the credit of this bad climate change, right? The total responsibility goes to human beings, I guess. So Professor Eru already talked about curriculum, how to educate people, and also Golale also tried to mention some local interpretation and solution for environmental preservation. That's really two main idea of how to overcome this climate change. But I don't know, this is a posting question, a lot of controversy question. I think, what about the human being? Should we limit the human being? Because when the human being keep, I don't know, multiple themselves, right? Reproduction, and then the nature will be worse and worse, time by time. So we cannot control the nature if we don't control the human being. Is it my question? I don't know. So I believe that balanced life is the key of everything. For example, our school, we also limit the students. Why? Because we have limited resource too. So when we limit the how to say it, like the market, then we can create or increase the quality. But when we forget to limit human being in this case, then anything we do related to climate change will be less effective because the market getting big and big, while our Earth is only one until today. So maybe can you enlighten us with this phenomenon? Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Razi. So do you want to add a comment on it? So yeah, it is very critical question. Should we reduce the population of the people then? Okay. Okay, please, Professor.
Okay, difficult questions to me. I think that those both examples are very good examples of things happening right now. This question of responsibility of people, I think that's crucial concerning, I would call, positioning. How does education position students and teachers in terms of phenomena that we see outside of the school fences? It's not my business. It belongs to government. It belongs to somebody, community, belongs to somewhere else. So I don't care. That is something which is very harmful, I think. And maybe it's a result of the system, education system, that it doesn't educate people to be responsible enough. That's a question to think about. If we only think about in terms of competencies, then we can of course say that, okay, we have taught all the competencies that are listed in the curriculum, but this responsibility is not a competence, or it's very difficult to define as a competence, because it deals with something deep in our humanity and in relation to the environment and context where we are living. Then I agree totally that that if people are living in a surroundings in which they can create a peace with nature, then it is like these ancient systems are. They are in peace. But in the current situation, we have these big technological companies exploiting our nature, coming to take raw materials, bringing us products that are harmful for the nature and our society style of living. How to avoid that? We still have this technological imperative that we believe that technology will solve all the problems. If we believe that in that, then okay, but I don't believe that. I don't think technology will solve all the problems. It will create a lot of problems, but at the same time, it will also have a lot of side effects that we call hybrid objects or whatever in science, that are something like we want to hide, but still they are waste, nuclear waste, pollution. We want to get rid of them. Do we have systems to do that? In Finland, we have very good systems of collecting all the trash and trying to get rid of pollution. Here you can see them here all around in the surroundings, plastic bottles, systems. I think it's from educational point of view, technology is not it's important, but it's not the final solution. We cannot trust on that. We cannot educate children like trusting on technology. Somebody will come and solve this problem. So don't worry. Just throw the bottle into the river. The river takes it somewhere else. So you don't care. that is very harmful from the education point of view. I think we have to teach them to take care about things that they see and be responsible. What else can we do? We cannot avoid the technology. We have all the technology in our pockets and we want to use them. We have cars and scooters and devices. Fine. But being responsible is a different thing and important. So I don't have any answers.
Okay, thank you, Professor. And I think it is pretty interesting statement also from Razi. It is related that less educated people like could do harm to the nature, right? But sometimes like well-educated people, they do harm, more systematically, massively in a bigger scope, right? Sometimes. So it is also a critical question. So what we should do then with our education, on one side, less educated people potentially do the harm to the nature, but sometimes well-educated people also do the harm to the nature, right? Okay, maybe one last comment or question before ending the session. Okay, please, Kak Siti.
Yeah, thank you very much for the chance. Actually, I just want to give comment based on what I see in my area, in my town, Loksmawe city. I do agree for all that all of our friends here have already talked about. But what I see in my town is about environment and environment problems in my town is trash everywhere. Maybe in your trip, sir, and Golale, when you see along the road, there are some plastics, some organized plastic trash on the road. Yeah, that happen almost in all area in our country, especially Aceh, actually. And in my town, Loksmawe, the assumption or maybe the conclusion why it happens in our town, it is because of a lack of awareness of the society. This is one of the factors. And just now we have already talked about one of the good solution is to educate our students from school about climate change education, about climate change issues, how can the teachers can integrate these big issues into their topic or their materials when they have teaching. But other problems is not all schools implement this. Not all of the school in our country implement or aware on these issues. Gitu. So that maybe this is the role of the government and also our Ministry of Education maybe to make this climate change issues can be one of fundamental factors or fundamental issues that can be practiced in all schools in our country. Because according to Ismail Zen 2021, the successful of to create character of our students to love our environment is coming from school, but this is must be involved all aspects, not only schools but also family at home and society in community or in a society. If these three aspects are work together, have one vision to solve this problem together, it can be success. But if only schools do this, maybe it can take too long for having or for solving these problems. Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay, do you want to respond it?
Exactly. I think I agree totally what you said about the responsibility of the schools and societies. One scene I have in my mind when thinking about environmental attitudes or positioning here was when we went to Ciperon, or that was a place in the coastline from Bandung to Prof. Ali School. And there were people around in the adults in the schoolyard. When they saw that we are coming, they saw some trash there close to our path, and then I saw that the person took the trash and threw it a little further away, so I couldn't see it, but I saw it. It's in the middle of the grass. He cleaned the root, but threw it into another place, which was a sign of this kind of positioning that, okay, out of sight, out of mind. But it is not that way. I think we should educate people to pick it up and put it somewhere else and being taken care of. I think this is not an easy job to do. It's deals with cultural things, traditions, how to deal with that. But when population is increasing, these problems are also increasing tremendously. So we have to educate people to take care of those.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the comments. And about the last, just I came to my mind that I think the past generations, they respect more to the environment. And if we could have that examples and that narratives in a local level and link it or bring it them to the schools and to our classrooms, it can be helpful in like recognizing those values and also to help to be more feeling responsibility. So it's also comes back to this importance of narratives to link it with the classrooms. Because myself, when I watch this old man in the last videos, it is even though it is short, but it has so much meaning for me. That what's happened, that he said, if this cannot die, I will die. So it is very, very deep concepts and deep responsibility. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Iru and Golale. Yeah, I think any more comment or question? Oh yeah, from the virtual space here, any comment or maybe question, or do you want to say something to Professor Iru or Golale? Who are they on the Zoom line? Okay, we have Bu Nur Hayati, Bu Satya, Pak Khairil, and also Mr. Zubir, still connecting to the audio. Anything to say, Pak Khairil or Bu Satya, Kak Wi, Bu Nur or Pak Uki?
Yes. From me,
okay.
Mr. Martinez.
Okay, Pak Uki is here. Okay,
Yes.
time is yours.
Okay, thank you. I just want to give a comment. It's really, really good and nice to hear about presentation from Mr. Ero and Ms. Golale, and I really I have heard all the comments and the questions from the others, and it's really nice to hear that. But I just want to say about the narrativity, about the curriculum. Yes, we can still make a connection with all the material that we teach in the class. Maybe for the other subject, maybe we cannot make a connection with the material, but we can make the connection with the process in learning process in the class. Like maybe in we have in English English subject in our school, so maybe we can give a text about narrativity, about the climate change, or something have a connection with that, have a relation with like climate change or like physics. So what subject that I teach in Sukma Bangsa Sigi about the temperature, I can make connection with the climate change. I can bring the students go to outside of the class. They can feel the heat from the sun. So maybe I want to try them to think about the climate change, about the temperature, and make a relation with global warming. And it's nice, maybe from me, just like that. Thank you, Mr. Martinez.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Uki. Okay, probably the last but not least, it is closing remark. Okay, from Professor Ero and Golale.
Okay, if I start, I think this is a really interesting start for our common process, thinking about curriculum and curriculum issues at the school level and system level and scholarly level, what we mean with the curriculum and how to develop the concept. Of course, this is also global scientific conversation that we have to have and participate with our initiatives and ideas, but also somehow political level trying to influence the politicians to understand these phenomena better and design curriculum, design education so that it services the future in the best way. You are crucial, and I'm proud of you of this effort that you are doing in this school and in Sukma Bangsa schools. I'm sure we will succeed together.
Okay, I just want to thank you for your attentions and also great comments. And Sansrina, I will be happy that to have the movie when it is ready. We can use that. And I think that it's also inspired me that you are really active and aware about the needs of actually this taking care of environment. And it is the first steps, I think, for educators to be open and always questioning themselves. Thank you.
Okay, once again, let's give them a big round of applause. Okay, thank you, Professor Ero and Golale, for a very interesting and fruitful discussion, explanation, and presentation today. Last but not least, in tackling this climate change issue, I love one African proverb, actually. I love this proverb. It takes a village to raise a child. So it takes everyone concerned in tackling this climate change issue. We couldn't do it like partially. Some people put concern on it, but the rest do the harm to the nature. So hopefully all of us will take all the responsibilities within our own role, to take care of our nature. Okay, thank you for your best attention today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.